Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern. Join me as I invite experts and friends to discuss a range of topics, from the factual and practical to the mystical and magical. Consider this your virtual happy hour filled with lively, authentic, and meaningful conversations meant to inform, inspire, and ignite your curiosity. Whether you are very real or super woo, this podcast is just for you. Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and I am so excited, like giddy child excited to be with whom I consider a celebrity in my life, whether she knows it or not, Elana from Searchlight Tarot. And I started this podcast because I like to talk. I'm one of your Geminis, obviously. And I love it when you say that. And during COVID, you and a few other people were my go-tos. And I had never considered tarot. I had never really delved into it. I ended up taking a class with a woman who I found on another podcast just to sort of get into the story behind the cards, like the traditional cards. And then I recognized, like I've started to learn, it's really not my mode of transportation. And I stopped that learning because I just like to receive the information. And so the information that you offer us is, I feel like you're inside my head all of the time. And I'm sure you get those comments a lot. So before we get going, I just would like you to tell my listeners who you are and anything you'd like to about yourself.
Okay. My name is Elana, and I started my YouTube channel in 2020. So the reason I am not a social media person whatsoever, and I was raised by a master metaphysical teacher. So she had a huge following, wrote books, and my whole upbringing was learning to control my own energies and behaviors. So as a child, she never told me what to do, but she always implanted the seeds I needed to ponder upon and realize my actions were always going to lead me down different paths. She let me fall many times, but she was a double Leo, so she always had the strength and courage and the grace to get me back up and moving in the right direction. So my whole upbringing was very unusual. And then I started having incidences when I was very young. I remember my first six or 7 years old, and she had always told me I had a special gift. And, I was born at 2/2/62. I was born at 2:22 a.m. My whole birth chart is Aquarius. It's just really, if you looked at my birth chart, you would just be like, holy shit. But so I didn't really understand what she meant by the gift, but I experienced things starting at 6 and 7 that if I didn't have the mother I had, I would probably have checked myself into an insane asylum at the age of 17. So as all my gifts opened up over the years, I started realizing that there's a veil that I have that doesn't exist here, meaning that I can just see into whatever I need to see into immediately. And I always protected my energy growing up. I never went to big parties. I never went to any big functions. I was really into sports, which was really a grace for me. It was just saved my life. But I had something that I had to learn to work with over the years, and it's guided me onto YouTube only because of a dream I had. And everybody pushing me in the months following the dream, I should open a YouTube channel and do these tarot readings because I helped a lot of people. And so that's how I started it. I started it as just fun with my friends during COVID to give them their personal readings. And I had 10 subscribers. And, after the dream, it was so significant, and the colors I can still see to this day. And I didn't understand what it meant, but following all the signs along the way, because my dreams have always been precognitive, I went ahead and took the plunge and did it because everybody was pushing me to do it. So, from 10 subscribers to monetizing it in 3 months, it was like, I didn't know people were going to be listening to me because I was having fun with it for my friends. Like, I was just literally reading for the 10 friends that subscribed and their signs. And I had no idea everybody was going to start. And so here I am today, 4 years later, 4.5. So I started in November 2020. And so this is really a gift that I have. And it's been leading me down a new course of just spreading the love and the light and our own energy and what we can project for ourselves and teaching people that we all have the power to create the life that we want. My teachings as a child have enveloped me into a bigger and better person, developed me. And I'm just here to keep spreading it towards other people that need it at the time that in their life that they need it. And everybody who watches a reading, whether it's going to resonate or not, there's a seed there that it flickers something in them. Because I've had a lot of comments where people would say to me, I never even thought about my own energy. I never really thought about, my thoughts and how it projected and what I did and my own actions. And I mean, I'm like I always say in my readings, if I help one person today, then my job is done.
Well, that's why I adore you, because we connect on that, right? So before we went on here, I was saying I did this podcast because I like to talk, but really because I like to learn. And I figure if I want to learn something, maybe one other person wants to hear it too. And it's why I teach. It's why I coach. If I can make a difference in one person's life, that's, the goal.
And you're on your true path.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the same to you. I wrote that down, right? It's almost like we had no choice.
Right.
So I'm going to dial back for a moment. An athlete too. I was a dancer, and I was always hyperactive as a child. And this is before, there was ADD medication. And I was just talking about this over the weekend with my girlfriends. My mom and my sisters would take me to a store. I'm from St. Louis. It was called Gem. And I guess it would be like a Target, or a Walmart. And they would literally put me on the ground and let me run down the aisle until they couldn't see me. They'd say, stop. And when they could see me, they'd say, go. And I could go, and they would time me. And then from that, of course, I went into dance and track. And I just connected when you were talking about your story with sports. What sport did you do?
Oh, let's see. Well, in music.
Music too. I'm a singer.
Yeah, I started playing the violin when I was in 4th grade, and then I worked my way up to woodwind instruments. But my dad was an Aries, and he didn't have a son because I have just me and my sister, and I'm the youngest. And my dad, I was like a tomboy.
Me too.
So my dad took me and put me in Pee Wee little softball league, and I was 7 or 8, and he coached the team. It turned into fast pitch softball, but he got me into that. So I started with softball, and then I got into track in junior high. And then I just kept playing softball, and then I ended up on a semi-pro team. But the whole thing was that sports saved my life because I think I needed other outlets of my creativity and my energy because I had so much of it, just like you. And that's what's wrong with the kids today is that, they're so consumed with their computers and this and that. I didn't have that growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I get your ass outside and go play. Get your ass outside and go ride your bike with your friends. You know what I mean? And then you had to be home by dinner, and, we had outlets. But these children today are so pent up with social media. And if I was a parent today, I would only allow them 2 hours a day of social media.
Mm-hmm.
Get out there and get athletic. Get into something,
Well, and I've come back to kind of limiting myself. I realized about a month ago, I started checking my stuff in the morning, and then I didn't check it again until like after dinner. I don't like to scroll before bed because, we know that's a thing. But yeah, I was the only girl on an all boys baseball team in 4th grade. And then they didn't have softball in the way they do now, at least for girls. And I went on to other things. I swam and stuff like that. But yeah, just the magic of especially summer, right now, and staying outside till the lightning bugs come. And that was like the cue that you had to get home, or like my mom would bring a cowbell if we were close enough. We didn't live on a farm, but she had a cowbell. She's from Kentucky. Yeah, so we connect on. Unlike you, I didn't have the idea that I was intuitive, but I recognize I was now as a young child. I had like monsters in the closet, and I could sense people's energy. So my parents divorced when I was 6, and I knew very early on to read the room, and I could walk into that room and know who was upset, maybe not why, but how to kind of become the chameleon. I could melt into the fabric if I needed to. I could make someone giggle or rub their shoulders. That's why I'm in Reiki, and I adjust when I do yoga. I've always been good with my hands. It grounds me, and it lets me help people heal. Only I didn't have that language then. So can you tell me a little bit about you mentioned your mother, what did she teach you? And then you also alluded a couple of times to a dream. And I don't even know if I know that story. I'm not sure I've heard it on your channel, and I'm sure you've talked about it.
I started having dreams very young, and I didn't understand how I saw the dream. And then the incident would happen within a matter of moments, days, or a week. So there's the veil again. And, I was freaking out, but, I go back and I just think the vivid dreams that were so real and left me like this, I foresaw things before they happened. So, but the dream as far as YouTube goes, it was COVID and we were all just chained up in our homes, right? We were all just chained up. Nobody's working. Everything was shut down and closed. I used to go over to my friend's house because she had a pool and we would all gather there together. We didn't, we were just like, so I would give everybody tarot readings. I would just bring my tarot decks with me because my mom handed me my first tarot deck when I was 27 years old. I didn't know anything about tarot. And she just smiled at me and she said, "You'll thank me one day." So I started playing with it anyway. So over the years, I started actually, this is really weird. I'm sure you've seen the movie The Queen's Gambit. Well, when I really got into tarot, I started seeing things on my ceiling when I went to bed, spreads. Like it was just like the cards would just keep flying out on the ceiling. And I would literally, and in my head, I would hear, "And what does this mean?" Like they were training me for this whole thing coming down my way. And that happened for years before I got myself into doing this on YouTube. And then I saw the movie Queen's Gambit and I was like, that's like, oh my God, that's like that's like you're a master of something that you're already projecting. And the guides are helping you to prepare yourself for what you're in store for. You know what I mean? And then the dream was I was sitting on my bed, and this happened in probably September of 2020. And the dream, I was literally on my bed, my legs were crossed, and I was doing a tarot spread. I can see the dream very vividly. And as I'm taking the cards out, I went down to grab my deck and it was lit up in the most beautiful golden light I've ever seen in my life. It was so bright. It was I've never seen anything like that in my life. I woke up and I thought, what are you trying to say to me? But the weeks that followed and going over to my friend's house and giving everybody tarot readings and how they were shocked about how accurate I was. And I never asked them what they were asking me. I just asked them to ask the cards. I had them hold it. I would give them the reading and they were all like, even people who didn't believe in it were just like their mouths were open. So then everybody started saying, "You should do this on YouTube." And I thought, no, I don't do social media. And my best friend just said, "Oh, just open a channel and do them for us. Just have fun with us." Because we can't see each other all the time.
Yeah.
So, and then that's just how it all ended up. And I get the dream now is telling me you have golden messages to spread and with you to spread those messages.
So when you're doing your readings, thank you for sharing. When I see you, do you see those colors still? So I see colors because my whole lens is chakras. So I just saw a client today. So I see colors through my hands when I'm offering Reiki, and that gives me information, and I get the whole story, right? Which has been amazing, and it's getting stronger, and I'm getting more validated with it. And that's always so nice to get that feedback on YouTube. Outside the comments, you might not. But when you're doing your craft, like how is it unique to you? I mean, because there's a million people out there.
As the cards are given to me, I don't cut the deck and shuffle, they fly out.
I know, I love that. I love that.
And that was the gift that was given to me. And, I did start reading tarot the normal way. I would shuffle and I would just do spreads. And then I started learning the Celtic Cross Tarot spread. And I would do one and it was pretty accurate. It was like, oh my gosh. And then one day I never forget, this is before I went onto YouTube and stuff, but I had such a broken heart from something. And I was just so emotionally torn. And I said, what is it that you want me to see? And I just started doing this and the cards were just flying out. So that's when I realized that it's my hands. It's the connection, and they fly back and forth, and they're always perfectly aligned how they need to be.
Uh-huh.
So it was just, there was everything tied in together. And, I don't force my cards to come out. If you've watched me before, they just...
I do. You get this, I think I commented to you get this adorable glint in your eye, because you really aren't looking what's happening. And I've tried to do what you do and I can't do it. So clearly that's not my gift. But the way you go one by one by one by one, you've got beautiful hands and nails and you just get this look on your face like, I know this is going to be awesome. And just, it seems like you're delighted as we are with what comes out because you're surprised.
I can feel it. Just like I know when I'm going to get a good card and a negative card, I'll say it before I even see the cards.
Yeah.
There's going to be a good message and there's going to be a bad message here. You guys focus on the good and release the bad of whatever you're going through in life. The messages always tie everything together. Matter of fact, I did Gemini today. This was so weird because I had asked for, after my reading, before I go into the angel cards, I asked Source what they'd like to say to Geminis about their reading. So I'm shuffling the deck and you can literally see cards turn over in the middle of the deck before I start shuffling. I said, I know you guys saw that. So I took the cards out and it was the Wheel of Fortune. It was another card. And then the last card they gave me was the Lovers, Gemini. And right now is a huge time for Geminis. It's the 11th of June. It's the full moon in Sagittarius. You want to talk about how your life is about to change in a whole new direction?
Yeah. I do.
It's a magical time right now for you guys. And the reading was just absolutely beautiful.
Well, I can't wait to experience that because I wake up every day and I have my subscriptions. I'm like, does she have anything new? Does she have anything new? Does he have anything new? And I've learned enough to sort of take
out what doesn't serve you and relieve the rest. Yeah. That's how I started shuffling the cards. And that's where all that came from, but everything has been so divinely guided in my whole life path. And my whole life has been basically relationships. And I started studying astrological science when I was 17. Now, I don't know why, but I was so compelled by it. I went out and bought Linda Goodman's Astrological Love Signs. Now, I just read the book 5 times front and back. And then I had no idea my whole life was going to take on so many different relationships. And I started to know the signs. But if I look back now, it's like everything was just so connected. It was the jeweled web connectivity, how everything was leading, just like you. One thing led to one thing, led your sports, your dance, you coming into an energy of your sacred self, and you just reek of health, you reek of like a pure essence. And you were asking me if I see colors. Now, I don't see, what I see around people is how bright their light is. Meaning like how much are you protecting your own source of energy? So I see your aura around your head and I see, are you protecting yourself enough? Do you need more protection? And there's like, if I look at you, I won't do it on this, but I would say what I see, but that's where
you can do it if you want to, but that's okay.
No, there's nothing bad here.
No, I wasn't suggesting. I just, I'm inviting you to give messages to people you don't know, to me, to yourself. It's all good. I don't want you to feel like you need to hold yourself back, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I feel that you have a very strong, I'm going to word this very carefully, okay, a very strong essence of your self-healing power. But at the same time, I feel there's certain moments that you may question it.
100%.
Okay, I'm here to tell you, you need not question anything. You are a very strong force and you have a lot of power inside of you. And I'm going to say this to you, the more you believe in your power, the bigger your healing powers will become.
Oh, I needed to hear that. Thank you. I'm going to get my dog out of the closet 1 second.
I got 4 of them, so you're good.
This is Sophie. Yeah, I heard one of yours barking. Oh, it's 121. That's my grandpa's number. Hello, Grandpa. Okay, so yes, and in your reading, and thank you for that message. In your readings, you guide us through the general reading, like for Gemini, and then you say, okay, I'm going to dive into love crossing. Right. And so is that something you always did? Could you talk about, I know what that section is for. But
the love crossing is for people who are going through something with someone and trying to show them that, we're all on our own journey. And I'm always picking up the strongest. So they're not going to resonate with everybody. But whenever I look at the love crossing energy, if you're emotionally tied to somebody and you're feeling a certain way and you can't figure what that person's feeling, I'm just picking up the strongest energies with what your opposing love energies is going through. If you're in a unharmony, and when you're in a situation with no harmony, meaning that there's conflict or you feel deceived or deceit, and what are they going through in their life right now to give you a clearer view on what maybe you need to look at.
Okay. I love that you just reframed that for me, because at the time, I think I actually spent the time to stay. It was right around when my mother we had moved my mom, and then she passed away, and it just exploded up our family, and been going through stuff with my siblings. And so like the discord in my life at that time was sister stuff. And so there were some meaningful messages, but I had framed it like what's happening to me. But now that you just said, consider what's they're going through, I love that reframe. So now today, when I hear the Gemini, I'm going to maybe stay and give that a listen. I know you also say cross watchers. Is that for the rising sign, or what is that?
No, crossing is the people that's crossing your energy, the people that you're involved with. So collective is for the people with Gemini placements. But crossing energies are the people that are crossing your energies, meaning that if you're starting to feel like, see, we're so everything in this universe is energy. Sometimes you think about somebody that you haven't talked to in 10 years, and then all of a sudden you hear from this person or run into them because the energies are happening because you're both connecting. But when I talk about crossing energies, it's the person that you're energetically crossed with right now, that you're going through something with, and I don't know, have you met somebody new recently?
Yeah.
Because it was in the Gemini reading. There was one from the past and one from the past and somebody new. And I'm like, Geminis, what you got going on? And I remember it distinctly because I'm like, there's something weird here. Somebody's backpedaling to try to mend something with you. It could be a family member, and somebody new is here that is kind of standoffish about how they feel for you. So anyway, I don't know. It was interesting because I rarely feel two different energies, but in your reading today, remember, it's very general. So I don't know if it's going to resonate with you, but it was just, wow. I don't know what Gemini's got going on, but they got something going on here.
Yeah. It's funny. The old me that wanted to find the perfection or the connection would sort of like square peg, round hole, like that's for me. And I'm going to make that about me. And then it's like, if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. Some parts do, some parts don't. Usually your readings always resonate with me, and I always get something out of them because I'm a super Gemini like you are. I'm Gemini moon and sun and Libra rising. And so I know some people recommend that you watch for your rising sign. And I mean, I don't have that much time in my day.
I think more so your moon, because your moon is your emotional being.
So I'm Gemini all over.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like all over the place.
Good thing. That's a good thing. There's a lot of creativity in Geminis, and they just have to learn to embrace it.
Yeah.
And are the questions and,
Yep. All right. So I want to talk about dreams for a moment. So my dreams are super technicolor, fragilistic, expialidocious most of the time. And I would say in the past year or two, and I've talked about this on my show, I'm flying, there's colors, but it usually starts where I'm in darkness. It's always with water and rain, and I need to find my way out. It's like topsy-turvy, and I got to get out. And usually I have 4 kids. And for a lot of my dreams, my youngest twin, my baby twin, is my helper. And I always say, I'm like, hey, you were in my dream again, and you saved me. And I feel like she was a guide in another life or something or whatever. And lately it's my eldest daughter who's been in my dreams, and she hasn't been so nice to me. And I texted her this morning, but last night was no different. It was pouring down rain. I had to get up early to teach a class. And it was one of those dreams like you have before school starts, like you can't find your locker. You don't know your schedule. You don't know where, it was that. Like I dreamed I was late for this class and I couldn't find my phone to cancel it, that kind of thing. Do your dreams ever, because of what you do and your dreams are so accurately predictive, have they changed at all with our changing times?
Oh, yes. I lately they've been really off the charts, but there's always one symbol in my dreams that I zero in on. Like I think the other day or 4 days ago, it was very, very colorful and a lot of activity going on. But in that dream was a key. And the vehicle I was driving, they kept telling me, you know where the key is. You need to use it. So when I woke up from this crazy ass dream, I thought to myself, okay, what would be the key? The key is my true essence of my core values and what I'm all about. It will get me through anything in life. Because right now, the way of the world, and this is only, I'm going to say this to your people, we are in Aquarius season for the next 30, 40 years, and it is in Pluto. And Pluto is the planet of destruction. So there's more rioting going on, there's more revolutions, people are speaking their truths, people are fighting, people are seeing the corruption in the world because Aquarians are the truth seekers. And we're the peacemakers of harmony because we're the star. So right now, people are having wake-up calls about everything in life, about religion, politics, corruption. Stop being consumed with what's going on around you. You're not going to be able to stop it. You're not going to be able to change it in any form or fashion. But what you can do is you can focus your energy on your own environment, the people you love, what you want to project for your own future, your own good energy, and let the universe take care of you. Because right now the weeds in the garden are being pulled up and we are trying to head into the 5D. The age of Aquarius is here for the next 2,000 years, people. So buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride. But with Aquarius being in Pluto for the next 30 years, it's a sign of a lot of chaos, destruction, and people speaking their truth and standing up for what is right. So Aquarius is a very high vibration. It's fixed air. And right now, the world is changing. People are changing. People are having wake-up calls about religion, spirituality, the corruption in the world, what's right, what's wrong. And right now, we have to focus our energy on our own being.
100%. Thank you for that perspective. And, you know, those of us in this realm, and I would bet even people who are not, just feel there's something going on. And what I see is just like this big divide, you know, like it's the
Yes,
10 Commandments, the C parts,
right.
and it gets all covered
And the
back
good
up.
and the bad. And the world is in a big place of separation right now. That's why I'm telling people, let the dogs fight it amongst themselves.
Yeah.
You focus your beautiful energy on your own bright light and spreading your love and light, and stop being so consumed with the negative energies in the world.
Right.
There will be a separation. I feel it's coming. I just feel like separation, meaning that there'll be divine intervention somewhere along.
Right. Do you deal with galactics at all, that realm?
Do I believe in UFOs?
No, like
the
Palladians and the Galactic Federation, but you deal with angels.
I deal with our higher self. I deal with source. I deal with the spiritual beings around us. But as far as absolutely, and if you're going to ask me about UFOs, or my whole vision on that is this vast universe, you cannot tell me that there isn't evolved.
Right.
Because if you want my opinion, I think we are the least evolved of them all.
Yeah.
They look down at us and they're just like those stupid earthlings. And if you want to talk about, you know, like if you take the grays, this is going to take you off target for just a second. The grays.
That's okay.
Okay, so the people who see these gray entities with the big eyes and the spaceship, and we call them the grays because this is how I was brought up. And this was part of my mother's teachings too, that they had a nuclear war on their planet and they had to live in a cave for a long time. They lived in caves, and that's why they're gray and they have big eyes. But their being was a lot like us. So now that the planet is starting to recover after a very long time, that's why a lot of people swear they've been abducted or something, because they're trying to get there. They're not here to harm. They're here to try to redevelop their selves as they used to be, you know, the physical aspect. But,
interesting.
Yeah, I just think that as far as nuclear war, I think we're being closely watched. I think if there is a nuclear war, it will not happen because there will be divine, because it's going to ruin everything in the universal timing.
Exactly.
And so, you know, that's just my belief, of course.
Well, no, and your belief is right up in there, whatever language those of us in the space choose to use. The message has been really consistent for a pretty long time. And, you know, statements like we're going to get to the brink of something and there will be an intervention of some kind, whether it's divine and galactic or just whatever
that's
it is.
what I mean by divine. There's going to be something of a greater force coming to stop certain things from happening.
Because the universal, like you said, they have stake in the game in terms of how we treat ourselves in this planet. They will not allow us to destroy this planet. And hopefully it will happen in our lifetime. I have no idea. So I don't know.
Oh, you just focus your energy on your beautiful garden.
And take care of your garden. Exactly. Take care of the earth and do whatever you think is right about recycling and being nice to animals and nice to yourself and nice to others. And there's going to be those people that their whole reason for being here is to stay on the other side and get into the mud and the fights. And that's, and then the more we can just sort of lift our vibe, like you said, is the key.
Right.
And that's why listening to people encourage us like you or like me, anyone who is empowering others to get more curious about themselves and to treat themselves better is the goal. Right.
Absolutely.
And it just takes that one person because our energy ripples out like a pebble in the ocean.
Absolutely.
And so, so that's why I love that there's lots of choices for people to find a path of their own for their own healing and their own learning. Right.
Correct. Absolutely. And we all have choices to make right now. You can go on the dark path or you can stay on the light path. It's your choice. I mean, I just see what's going on. And I know that a lot of people are just... Have faith, people. Have faith.
Have faith. Have faith over fear, which is a big ask sometimes. And faith is also sometimes a trigger word because people talk about that in a religious aspect. And it is and it isn't. It's faith in what we cannot see. Whatever that thing is, whatever that is for you, it is knowing we are not alone and we don't have to be alone. And knowing that we have faith in there's a divine plan. And it's not so much that we're powerless against it because we have free will, but the choices we make do matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I use the word faith a lot, so my major arcana is a star, and it's about spreading hope, faith to a place of renewal. And when I talk about faith, I just talk about believe there is a greater force around you at all times to help you along the way.
Yes. And you've said it and I say it, and we're going to get to the segment now because joy is the highest vibration, like love.
Love.
In this moment, Elana, what is bringing you joy? I gave you homework.
Oh, no, this is so easy to answer. That's why I really didn't have to do the homework. What brings me joy is peace of mind and gratitude. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't have gratitude for everything around me. There's not a day that doesn't go by, even though if I have a rough day or a rough week, I'm still looking at all the things to be grateful for. And, I know there's a lot of people, if you have food in front of you, you need to be grateful for it. If you have a bed to sleep in every night, gratitude. If you have people around you that love you and are trying to help you, gratitude. Stop crying about all the things you don't have and start being grateful for the things you do have. And I'm going to say it in every reading, the attitude of gratitude is what attracts more into your life. But my homework, when you said that to me, I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. There is one thing I wish we didn't have. And I think about it. There's two things, actually. I have thought these things for maybe 20 years. There's two things I wish that this world, and I'm sure I'll be in that world one day, where clocks didn't exist, meaning that time. Have you ever noticed you always looking at the clock? Like you always feel pressured. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to go there. Oh, I got to take care of this. Oh, I got to go. Yeah. It's like, I don't want that pressure. I don't want time. And the other thing is, just doing what you love and being around the people you love and spreading love. I'm sure when we go home, there is no clocks to be had.
Right.
And the next thing is I want to live in a world where we get paid on our good merit, not where we get paid for the hard work you put in or how you rob somebody or how you can steal from somebody. Oh, that's karmic. But I want to be in a world where giving love and being kind to others out of the generosity of your heart is your rewards twofold over.
Well,
those are the two things I ask for. When you ask me for homework, I'm like, oh, I've been doing that homework for 20 years.
Well, you just hit the words that I say out of my mouth, which is I want to envision a world that cultivates more joy. And for some people, joy doesn't come easily to them. They're not in that state of appreciation and gratitude. And a client of mine inspired this break in my show because for some people, it's a muscle they must exercise. And so setting an alarm at 5 minutes to the hour, like we get the news, and if you can do that through the day, that becomes more like, oh, then you do look at that little ladybug, or, oh, the light turned green, right? And you're in more of a state of looking for it. And you know what? When you look for it, you find it, right?
And it keeps coming your way. And that was some of the work. I had to do as a child. My mother just kept implanting the seeds in me. I just kept falling down because I was such a stubborn, willful child, fixed air, and so it was just kind of like, well, okay, if that's what you want to do, go do it. And then she would just wait for me to fall flat on my face. And then she would plant a seed. She wouldn't say, I told you so. Never. She said, you're going to be okay, but you're going to live. You've learned, and now you grow.
Yes. Yes.
That's
beautiful. I think that's a good place to leave it, unless there's other things you'd like to say and teach us.
No.
And do you have anything coming up you want to promote? Have you written a book?
No, but Eric, the astrologer, keeps saying, in your chart, you're going to write a book one day. I said, oh, really? And he goes, and it's going to be a success. I don't know if you know Eric, the astrologer.
I don't.
Well, he had an after-death experience. So, he's partially blind, but biggie astrology. I mean, he's just so full of color and just so creative and just full of love because he experienced the other side. So we get together and do these live streams, and he did my chart a couple years ago, and he was just pulling stuff out of there, telling me all kinds of things, and I was like, okay, well, so far it's been on the money. But I've thought about it, but I know when the time's right, it will be handed to me. The pen will just end up in my hand, you might say.
So that's where I'm stuck right now, because every reading I've ever had, and including my chart, I am meant to be playing big in the world and getting my message out. And so this is one way that I do it. I've got my YouTube channel. I've started to practice doing shorts for like yoga, alignment, and just things I want to say. And no surprise, everybody pounds the table at some point and say, when are you going to get those books written? And so I'm in the mode now, and I got stuck in, because I'm a Gemini, I have so many things I want to say and so many books I want to write, but I just had to start with one. And one
I would, if I were you, may I just throw a little few seeds your way?
Of course.
I would get yourself a little, and you probably have it on your iPhone and, your video notes. I would start creating little mini video notes when you have a thought pop in your mind.
Oh, that's what I do. I mean, that's how the books have been writing.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's going to plant many seeds into something fruitful for the future.
To confess, what happens a lot is you can see I'm hiding my elliptical over here with this tapestry, and there's an elephant behind it. But often I'll have you on the computer over here, and I'll be on my elliptical. And when my body's in motion on a bike, on a walk, on a run, whatever, in yoga, not when I'm teaching, that's when the thoughts come. And so it becomes a cross train for me, because then I'll hop off my elliptical and write stuff down, or I'll get off my bike and jot it down on my phone. And that's how this podcast was made. And that's how these books are getting written, because what happened was I was saying, oh, that's a chapter, and oh, that's a book. And it ended up being, well, no, actually, that's a podcast episode subject, or this or that. So that started to it was like a sieve, you just said Queen's Gambit. So I see it in my head. I get in my own way. I know that, because I want to be right and perfect and make sure I get the right message out. But I can get any message out I want to at any time. I just had to say yes to one.
Okay, I gotta intervene here, and I just want to say this. I know we're coming to the closure of this, but
no, we can.
Your essence of perfect and getting the word out, as long as you're true to your authentic self, you will never be steered in the wrong direction, because everybody's sign of perfection or attitude of perfection. But I think what really has helped my channel in all reality, because I really don't do a lot of videos for the years I've been on, I think I have 1.5, which is nothing compared to some YouTubers. They're just constantly banging stuff out. But in all reality, I've just been true to my authentic self. I just, when your book you write, just be you. Don't go after perfection, and don't go after it has to be, because your color will shine through in your book, your 100%. Inner light,
Yeah.
Stop searching for that.
That's where I've unblocked where I've been stuck, because I was led down a road to believe that the first book, and this is funny because I'm going to use the word should, and in my classes I say don't should on yourself, but I was told that I should write this book from a business standpoint to elevate my business. And what did we talk about already?
Ever,
what is my business? My business is making one person feel understood. And my tagline is "You matter." And that's my mission, is to make everyone understand they matter. And so I stopped what I was doing, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go back to what I really wanted to be doing. And that's where I am in my joy, because now the book is flowing better and I'm saying what I want to say. And so I initially get down a road and it comes up for me, not perfection, like in terms of like, I have to do it somebody else's way. I don't want to waste anybody's time, I guess. Like, I don't want to waste the editor's time or my time. So it's this whole mother message, because that's how she was. Like, she always wanted to do things so fast. She's Taurus. So was my dad. And she never wanted to take time.
Taurus.
Even when she called me on the phone, she'd like, oh, you're home. And then she'd try to get off the phone as quickly as possible. I'm like, Mom, I answered the phone. Let's have a conversation. But she always felt like she was bothering people. So I'm trying to work that out of myself, right? Because I catch myself in that mode of, oh, I got to do it so fast and I don't want to waste anyone's time. And I'm like, you know what? Kind of fuck it. If this wastes somebody's time, they can turn the page.
No, I think that, you know what, here's the old saying, and this is what I really believe. Don't chase success. Let success chase you.
Right.
Be your
Exactly.
authentic self and shine and just be who you are. And just, you know, when we're our authentic self and we just be who we are and just let our beautiful inner colors come out, tracks everybody, because the authentic energy is what makes people come in. I can see people fake a mile away. I mean, whenever I watch stuff and I'm like, oh, nah, boop,
Right.
next, you know. But so you want to shine and you want success to be around you, then be you. And don't
Exactly.
ever change for anyone or anything. You've done a lot of inner work. You shine. You do shine very brightly. You have a gift.
Thank you. That's a great place to end it, because that's a universal message, not just for me, but for you, for everyone. And in this
That's right.
world of healing, you know, it's teacher heal thyself. And sometimes the best message I receive is when I'm working with a client, because usually what I'm helping them through is something that's helping me too. Oh, and see, when spirit comes through me, I rhyme. So there
Oh, me
that
too.
was.
I always have these like these stuff. It's so funny. It's like I say stuff. I'm like, oh my God, that rhymed.
Yeah, I call myself the Dr. Seuss of yoga, because it happens all the time.
It's
And
cute.
yeah. So Elana, thank you so much. I will
Laurie,
put all your
thank you.
information in the show notes below, but would you like to tell my listeners how to find you, please?
Yes, Searchlight Tarot on YouTube.
Searchlight
That's it.
Tarot.
I have no other
Yeah.
social media. There's some people who have made a Facebook account and an Instagram account and a TikTok account. It is not me. I only have YouTube. That's it.
All right.
Tune into your sign and see what messages are there for you. There's always hidden gems in there, as the Galactic Grandmother would say.
Oh, love it. And as a testament to your talent, I'm a huge, big fan. And I thank you so much for being with me on this show today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. You have a blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you.